Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Fires upfield into the end zone. It is caught. Jelani Woods, touchdown! INDY! A 43-point night for Tyrese Halliburton.
How do you like that, partner?
Renew now, drives in low, throws up a shot. It doesn't go. Tipped up and in by Anthony Leal. Indiana takes the lead.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
Now, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
I'm Googling, people. I'm Googling. How's it going? How are you doing today on this Thursday? Thank you so much for being with us here at the Hard Truth Studios, bringing you another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Looking forward to it. It'll be packed. Coach Shannon Griffith will join us actually here in just a bit. Bob Kravitz, of course, on the hook today. Rob Cassidy from Rivals.com, their national basketball recruiting analyst, will join us, and he'll join us to talk about the recent commitment of Trent Sisley to Indiana and Jalen Harrelson to Notre Dame, which came out yesterday. That leaves Braylon Mullins out on the hook yet, but not a big surprise that Jalen Harrelson went up north, as I think I said yesterday on the show, that's what I have been hearing, and that's what I was expecting, and that turned out to be the case, as Mr. Harrelson probably liked the job that Michael Shrewsbury did with daggone it, that Pickett kid from Penn State. Shrewsbury's a good coach, man. He's a great recruiter, great guy. That's what sucks is these other coaches in the state. Matt Painter at Purdue, he's a great guy. As is Michael Shrewsbury, as I just said. So, and they're from Indiana, so we got that going on. So it's a competitive thing, man. But congratulations to him. That's a biggest recruit that he's ever had, and I'd have to research how to go back to that. Is this the biggest recruit Notre Dame has ever landed in basketball? I mean, he's a top 10 recruit, man. That doesn't happen at Notre Dame, but they get him. And congratulations, Jalen Harrelson now goes from one private school to another as he finished his high school basketball at La Lumiere up north. So he's used to northern Indiana, used to that weather. It's not going to be a big deal. So we're going to see some of the Indiana guys split up. Where will Braylon Mullins go? We'll find out when his announcement comes out. Looking forward to talking to Bob today. Bob and Rob, the Bob and Rob Show. Chris Denary will join us next week. He is traveling today, so Tannis asking, anyone else miss the old Penn State rec arena and basketball? Students literally standing along the sidelines. Yeah, that place they play in now is more like a surgical, an ER, a surgical center or something. It seems quiet, but of course, hard to have good basketball in Penn State. Mike Shrewsbury, though, did as good a job as anybody. That's why he's at Notre Dame. He was able to get out. Andy's saying, yes, that is the highest ranked recruit in Notre Dame history. I would have thought that was the case. So that's going to make it competitive. Think about that. Shannon Griffith, the coach, joins us now. Hey, Coach, how's it going, man?
Hey, buddy. Pretty good. Just busy Thursday.
I hear you. It is that. Rain coming down there in Evansville, Robert says. Looks sunny here in central Indiana in the Bloomington area. Well, that can always change. How was your go ahead.
I was going to say, is Helena going to impact Saturday or not? That's what I'm hearing, that it could be a rainy day, but I hope for sun and blue skies.
Yeah, that's the possibility that I've seen on the forecast. rain is a definitive possibility. More on Friday than on Saturday, but it's a noon game, so they could still probably be catching the tail end of that rainstorm that's supposed to come in. That's a concern because Indiana, that means you're going to probably see more run than pass, with the exception of those quick passes, depending on if it's raining or raining. You know what I mean? If it's just raining, it's not going to affect much.
Yeah, that won't affect much.
But if it's raining, you're going to see a lot of runs on the ground.
Well, for the most part, yes.
And hoping that there's not fumbling.
Yeah, the best thing that ever was invented for rain was the synthetic surface that they all now play on, because it drains better, and in some ways you can keep things a little drier. But the thing you worry about with something like this at this time of the year is this type of storm impacting from the standpoint of potential delays with lightning and things of that magnitude, because you've got that rule that for every bolt of lighting hits, you've got to push it back 30 minutes and keep pushing back. So that's why I was hoping that it wouldn't impact, because of that potentiality that comes with it. But hey, we're not weathermen. We can blame it all on them, but it's going to be a good game, exciting game. It will be Indiana's first true test on the schedule.
Absolutely. As Coach Cignetti has said, this will be the best receiving core that they have faced, best quarterback they've faced, best defensive line they have faced. Their quarterback is having a good start to the year. They've got a wideout. I forget his name. I put it out yesterday, but he's had over 100 yards in all 4 of his games this year. And so, but you've got a favorite target, so they're going to have to keep an eye on him, obviously. But also, I talked about the weather. If that's an issue, that could impact Maryland's game as well. I'm not sure they have a great running game, but Indiana's defense is going to be tested, especially that second half stat of holding teams to 1.5 points per game in the second half. I think that's amazing. That has to be the best in the country.
Well, yeah, I think Maryland's run game is probably more simplistic in nature than what Indiana runs. I threw a clip up the other day on my Twitter page or X page where I had a blocking play that they ran. It's called counter, but you watch Zach Horton pull around and fit up a guy. If you want to see the most perfect way that you run the counter play, watch that clip on my Twitter page, and it's got a full explanation on it as why this is perfect. And so Indiana has a little bit more, I guess, juice in their running game, meaning that they can do a little bit of everything, whether it's inside, outside zone, kick the ball to the outside, all those things. So, yeah, it's going to be a dynamic game in a lot of ways, irregardless of the weather, in terms of the chess pieces being moved. Coach Loxley's a really good coach. And, the quarterback transfer they got playing now there has added some a more dynamic dimension, I guess you could say, in what they like to do. But both teams are very similar in what they like to do with the tempo stuff. And from a defensive standpoint, Maryland is not as aggressive defensively than what Indiana is, or I haven't seen Maryland, do what UCLA did, where you had a lot of different pressures and different types of coverages and stuff. So from my perspective, Maryland may be a little bit more vanilla of a defense and type of team that likes to keep things in front of them and calculate when they're going to bring pressures. So in that regard, dynamically, defensively, they're night and day in terms of their philosophy.
Yeah, and that would be the problem for Maryland, in my opinion, because Indiana's offense is so multi-dimensional with not only with multiple running backs, but multiple targets to throw at on the short receiving game. much less deep receiving game, so they can really mix it up. And that is what I see as the difference for this game period. And although Indiana is a 6.5 point favorite on FanDuel, 7 at other places, I think that, again, this is a 14 to 17 point win to me for Indiana.
Well, offensively speaking, if they keep hitting on all cylinders offensively, they are very difficult to stop because of what they have in a run pass game. They're very balanced in that regard, and balance to me is, a 60-40, type of mindset on either side of the coin. The best thing that they've got on tape, Jim, is the fact that when teams have heated him up and came after Rourke, they haven't gotten to him. He's gotten the ball in and out of his hands. He knows where he's going with the football. I mean, he did that Saturday with Charlotte when they had some things, whether it was on first down and he had RPOs called and he was able to get the ball in and out of his hands before they could get to him. And even when it's a situational, from a situational standpoint where you're going to get some pressure because it's 3rd and long, the offensive line and backs have done a good job protection. He knows who he's responsible for, and if that defensive player comes on the blitz and the ball is in and out of his hands pretty quickly. So Curtis right now, in every shape and form of a quarterback's responsibility, to me, he's being an A+ on every aspect that you expect from a quarterback to handle on game day.
Absolutely, and that is something that Indiana has just thrived on, is being what I call surgical and being consistent at it. They generally they're not getting stopped. They've scored on 29 of their 38 drives. That's, as Coach Cinetti responded, that's a decent start.
Well, yeah. And hey, I don't think there's an offense in America that wouldn't take that statistical deal of scoring on 29 of 38 drives.
No, 200 and what? All right, here's a great stat that I saw Zach Browning from the Hoosier.com put out yesterday, and I retweeted this. So far this season, people, Indiana has scored 202 points. We're 4 games in. In 2021, they scored over that period and additional 8 games, 207 points the entire season. Think about that. Let that soak in for a minute. In 2021, Indiana scored 207 points in the entire season. They've scored 202 in 4 games. With 8 games to play. Now, they're not going to score 77 points again this season, even against Purdue, I doubt. But that had to hurt. Sorry.
Well, here's the one thing, too, that I think Coach Schneider's done a really good job of putting a lot of things in perspective. And if I'm going to be a devil's advocate and look at this from a perspective, maybe from his point of view, is understanding that, yes, you play who's in front of you, irregardless of where they're from or what their record is. Your objective is to go out and to win. And they have, and they've won handedly in all those games. At the same time, when you look at the schedule, all the teams that they've played thus far, I think the total wins they've had is 3 or 4. And so their one loss record combined is like 3-16 or 4-16, something like that they've played. So from a schedule standpoint, it hasn't been difficult. They have beat teams pretty handedly. UCLA was probably the biggest surprise in terms of everyone thought that was going to be a big time close ball game, and it wasn't. So now you've got Maryland. This is going to be the dynamic test in front of them, and we're going to see how this ball club handles adversity, where regardless of if it's the weather or whether it's things not going well for them initially in a ball game and they get punched in the nose. How do they react? What do they do? So that's going to be the ultimate question mark going into this game Saturday afternoon, is how do these guys handle some of these things that are in front of them.
Yeah, Brian, I agree with you. Rourke is elite at going through his progressions, but he's also elite in not forcing things.
Yep.
He picks and chooses his battles, and usually he makes the right decision. That has been the key. His decision making has been pretty damn good, and his completion efficiency rating is off the charts.
It's nuts.
I mean, he's like 78% of his passes or something.
Yeah.
His QBR rating of like 192.
191. Yeah, it's like it's like playing college football.
It's a video game.
He's hitting the X correctly or whatever.
It's a video game. These are video game numbers, people, and I don't know that how much that slows down this week. I don't know that Maryland has the defense to slow that down. I don't either. I mean, again, I don't think hey, their offense, Indiana's offense is tough to stop. Let's just face the facts that these teams that are looking at him on film as a defensive coordinator, they have an answer for everything that you think you can throw at them. Because in the 4 games that they've played, everybody's thrown stuff at them and they've handled it with grace and pressure under fire. And that's, if as an offensive coordinator, that's exactly what you want to see. When the storm is at its highest point and people are throwing everything at the kitchen sink at you, you want a quarterback back there that handles pressure with grace under fire. And in a prime example of that, if what you said, Jim, of him Curtis not making the mistake, and not to say that you can find this clip on my Twitter page too, is the 3 plays in around the 10-yard line Saturday, second drive where they had to settle for 3 points. He had 2 pass opportunities in that drive. He threw them both out of the end zone. And I'm sure the general fan was thinking, well, what was he throwing that out of? He was trying to understand that he had 3 points in the bag. Let's not do anything here to be stupid and try to force the ball in a tight window. That's why Curtis Rourke is having the season that he's having right now, because of his mindset and his eyes and progression, all that good stuff. But he hasn't done anything to hurt the football team, and that's why you've got to have great quarterback play in the Big Ten. Absolutely. And I think Michigan showed that last year and now this year. Look at the difference and what has happened with them. And it has been largely, well, it's not just the quarterback, because there's been a lot of other changes, granted, but they had a solid veteran quarterback, and now they do not. They have a quarterback that generated 33 passing yards last week.
Right.
That was in a win over USC, but that's not going to sustain itself.
Absolutely.
But that's and again, that's why I still think that Indiana is more than capable of beating a team like Michigan. They're just, I think the people that don't get it, maybe this week will help them see, again, as long as the weather does not interfere, how this offense truly is. And from what I'm hearing, ticket sales have been brisk. I keep hearing, close to sellout type of things, but I'm like, okay, well, I'll believe it when I see it.
Right.
But look at it, I hope so. But that team deserves that. But I hope the people get to see that this offense is for real, man. What they're doing. So looking forward to it.
Absolutely, sir.
What are your thoughts on the game this weekend? How do you see it?
Well, I do see it. I think it's going to be a tight ball game. I'm not sure that it's a 14-point differential, but I could be wrong. I think Maryland's offense is playing really good, kind of like Indiana. I try to watch the Michigan State game because that is a little bit more comparable for the two teams that are going to play this Saturday. And Michigan State has a young quarterback, and he did exceptionally well in that ball game, and they won at Maryland. So I'm going to give it, a 10-point differential. I think Indiana wins something like 35-24 or something in that range.
So you think that Maryland's going to score that much on this defense?
I think they could. Yeah, and I think the reason why is I think they're going to test the corners with some shots down the field. No team has done that consistently yet this year, but I think Maryland will. And Prather's another receiver you got to worry about. He's the kid that tore him up a year ago in Maryland, and I just have pause for concern just from the standpoint it's a good offense, and Mike Loxley knows how to attack defenses. So, yes, I do think that they could put 20 on the board.
We'll certainly see. Coach Shannon Griffith, appreciate you joining us, my brother. We'll see you Saturday after the game.
You betcha, partner. Have a great week, everybody.
You bet. You as well. We've got more coming up here from the Hard Truth Studios on this Hard Truth Thursday. Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Back with more right after this.
Indiana Sports Beat Radio is brought to you by the fine folks at the Hard Truth Distilling Company, including Big Woods Restaurants and Quaffon Beers. You can find their great products in your area. If not, ask for Hard Truth. Their great products like their Hard Road Rye, Sweet Mash Bourbon, or the Toasted Coconut Rum. Ask for the Hard Truth. In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details.
Enjoy healthy, delicious meals at home without the hassle with the Fresh Fork. Chef-curated, ready-made meals delivered right to your doorstep. Proudly fueling IU athletes and now available to you with a menu that's always fresh and diverse, from hearty proteins to fresh salads. The Fresh Fork empowers you to make better food choices without compromising. Let the Fresh Fork help transform your lifestyle for a healthier way of living today at thefreshforkonline.com. Use promo code RADIO20 and get $20 off your first order. This segment is brought to you by the Rusty Gator in Bedford, where oceanic flavors meet southern charm.
Welcome back to the Hard Truth Studios, and I hope you're having a The Indiana Fever season and Caitlin Clark's spectacular rookie campaign came to a close. I'll talk a little bit more about that with Bob Kravitz when he joins us. But Alyssa Thomas with 19 points in an 87-81 win for the Connecticut Sun, closing out they were putting up the stats last night on most points by a rookie, the all-time assist record period by anybody, much less a rookie, most three-pointers hit by a rookie, just scoring. There was like 5 things that she was, and I hearken back to Diana Taurasi, and when she said reality was coming, I believe that as well. But let me tell you, the truth of the matter is, the reality that was coming was Caitlin Clark. She's the reality. And if this is her freshman campaign at the pro level, what the hell is she going to do for an encore when she gets better and better? I'm telling you, she's the Larry Bird of this equation. I don't know if daggone it, I'm drawing a blank on the other player from Chicago. I don't know why I'm doing that, but anyway, I'm not saying it's a Magic Bird kind of a thing, but it is kind of in. It hurt that she got hurt this year, because he was having a successful season as well, even though I can't think of her name at this second. But it is that kind of feel. Mark says this weekend's parent weekend. Well, there you go. That's good. So you're right. That should boost sales. Maybe that's why sales are up. Let's see. Magic Johnson would be a better comparison. I don't think so. I think that, and I'm not comparing her to Bird or Johnson, either one. The only comparison I'm making is the impact that Bird and Johnson made when they came into the NBA. There was some similarity, a lot of similarity between what Caitlin Clark and I cannot believe none of you guys have thrown up that name yet, man. You're killing me. There it is. Angel Reese. That's right. Thank you, Michael. It was getting blocked. But it has that feel. It had that feel. And Angel Reese got hurt. Maybe even more so because Angel Reese was, chirpy a little bit, making sure she gonna get hers. But it would have been great for the WNBA had that continued, but their tournament this year was set up. Their first round was a best of 3, but instead of it being there, back, it was play 1 and then go play 2, which the higher ranked team is going to get that honor anyway, I think. So I don't know that that's a big deal. They had to play back-to-back games in Colorado, or Connecticut. So, but again, I don't know if that's a big deal. But they got it's just I see that kind of thing. But I guess my whole point was Caitlin Clark had just an unbelievable top 5. She's going to be top her first team WNBA. I cannot imagine her not being that. So there's that. Bob Kravitz is going to join us next. We'll talk about where the Pacers are and the Colts. The Colts, believe this or not, and when I talk to Bob, I'll bring this up again, but they're number 2 in big play offense, big plays that are 10 yards or more. 13.2% of their offense. Number one, Green Bay, who the Colts beat. So I don't know if that's a great stat to have if the two worst teams are or not two worst teams, but two teams that are kind of shaky or best at it. That makes me wonder, is that because they just don't have sustained offense? But we'll find out when Bob joins us, so I look forward to that. Dusty May's recruiting. We'll talk to Rob Cassidy about that. I saw that question pop up as well. Yeah, I'll ask Rob about that when he joins us in the next hour. In addition to everything else, we got Braylon Mullins' recruitment that is still out there as Trent Sisley is committed to Indiana. Jalen Harrelson is going to Notre Dame. Purdue is out of it this year. They're not going to get a major well, I guess that's not true. They got was Jack Benner this year? So they've already got theirs. It should be an exciting year. Notre Dame is going to get better. Now, will Indiana and them reschedule at some point? I doubt it. Well, you never know. But probably not. Not for anything of regularity. The Kentucky game comes back next year. And that is something that everyone is waiting for, looking forward to. Trent Sisley coming just in time to be a part of that. That's something. So the Colts, I don't know where they are. Generally by this time you can I can develop a solid thought of where they are, and I don't know. Their offense has just not shown enough consistency. Like I said, they've got this high stat in a crazy that's a kind of a crazy stat, but I don't know if that's just because they don't have a sustained offense. Russell says Kentucky's going to be stacked with talent and a new coach when they face them. Well, that was always going to be the case. Now, the exception is the new coach. This is a step up in a coaching standpoint. I'm going to surmise it would have been better for Indiana if Calipari was still there. And I said at the time when this rematch was scheduled that John Calipari would never play in Bloomington again because he would be gone, and he was gone before they even renewed the schedule. So, Brian pointing out that Tiller, Ribe, and Brown Jr., Ament all still being recruited by Indiana. Yeah, I mean they don't stop the ball. They have to continue recruiting, but I just wonder how many guys do they want to land? Because you have to have an idea. You have to have a plan of how many now in today's era of college sports. It doesn't matter football, especially basketball, though, because it's so much more condensed. How many guys do I think I'm going, or I know how many guys I'm going to lose? Then how many guys do I think I'm going to lose? How many freshmen do I want to bring in? And then how many portal guys do I want to get instead? I don't think you want more than a max of 4 incoming freshmen. That's the max that I think a class should be now. With the portal, you cannot bring that much inexperience in, unless they're Cooper Flags. Yeah, it's just it's not necessary. We've got to take a break. Up next, the great Bob Kravitz joins us back to the Hard Truth Studios with Hard Truth from Bob Kravitz, brought to you by our good friends at the Rusty Gator and our good friend Cheryl Sizemore, who I saw on the chat box there. Make sure you reach out to Cheryl. Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com if you're in the market for a home in the Indianapolis area. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio at the Hard Truth Studios right after this.
This segment is brought to you by Freethink Apparel.
If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf Community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door.
This segment is brought to you by Hoosier Hanks East.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday here at the Hard Truth Studios. And now it's time for the star of stage, screen, and television, Bob Kravitz from BobKravitz.com. How are you, sir?
I am splendid. You want to know why?
I absolutely want to know why.
Because I made an eagle yesterday. I made an eagle from 154 yards out. I hold it. And so
I applaud you, sir.
Every week I put in $10 into the skins pot. So what did I do this week? I forgot. So I didn't win any skins for my eagle.
And what would that have paid? Do you know?
Probably about $60.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about some crazy number like
no,
$11,000 or something.
No. Just, but I mean, $60 is $60, right?
Oh, hey, yeah. I mean, but the eagle, I'm like, how far out were you?
154.
That's like a hole in one.
It really is.
I mean, there are a lot of holes that you're playing on, the par threes that most people are going to get a hole in one on, or 150 to 170.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. I know that your listeners really give a crap, but
hey, where was this?
At Prairie View.
Prairie View, I figured your home course. Yeah.
So
you ought to have that place figured out by now.
Yeah. Well, I know where to hit the ball. I just don't do it very frequently.
Yeah, there you go. Who had just said that? The eagle has landed. There you go.
There you go.
The eagle has landed right into the cup.
I heard it hit the pin, and one of my playing partners said the ball disappeared. Like, what do you mean the ball disappeared? He said the ball disappeared. It's in the hole. I was like, you're full of crap. We go up there, we walk up there, and there it is, right in the hole.
Yeah, everybody dig it. Cool. Congrats. That is awesome. I would take one of those. Man, all kinds of stuff going on to talk about.
Sir.
Really. Quickly, the Fever, they're done for the year after a spectacular Larry Bird-esque, and I'm not comparing her to Larry Bird. The way she was able to attack the professional level and to grow from that during that 1-8 campaign, how she was 9-10 turnovers, and everybody was just like, well, how you like me now?
Right.
End of the season, most points ever by a rookie, most 3-pointers ever by a rookie, most assists by anybody ever in the history of the dog. I could go on. There's like 5 different things.
Jim, this may be the greatest rookie season in all of sports. I have to do some research. I want to see what LeBron did his rookie year, but I can't think of another rookie in another sport who finished 4th in the MVP voting. I'm going to do a little research today once we get off the line, but I think a case could be made that this was the greatest rookie season in the history of organized sports.
I don't disagree, and again,
although Larry, now that I think about it, and like I say, I got to do research, but Larry took the Boston Celtics from like 20-something wins to 60, and I'm sure he was an MVP candidate. So maybe Larry had
he did not have McHale or Parrish his first year, did he?
I don't believe so.
I don't know.
I don't know that. I don't know that. I don't want to misspeak.
Yeah. Well, the fact that comparison, maybe that comparison's more real than I'm giving credence. And it's not because of how some people will take it. The white black thing. You've got Angel Reese, who I think, had she not been hurt, it would have been a Bird Magic type electric thing for the WNBA, as far as both of them being so successful as rookies.
I thought that the conversation during the season on Rookie of the Year became more and more ridiculous as the season wore on, because once she took off, once Caitlin took off, I mean, she left Angel in the dust. She was she was a great recruiter. I mean, a rebounder, but that seems to be where she was excelling. Yes. Yeah. She was a very good rebounder, not a very good shooter, a good defensive player, but Caitlin did it all. And to come in and take a team that won 5 games 2 years ago, can you imagine 5-35? And they won more games this year than they did in the combined the last 2 years. So good on them. They played a much better game yesterday. But look, Connecticut's been there, done that. They've got, a lot of playoff experience. The Fever had, I think, 19 games worth of playoff experience. they need to make some moves. They got to get rid of Melissa Smith. That's the first thing on the docket.
I hated to see that. Oh, gee whiz, from Indiana, great flip. The Indiana player,
Kelsey.
No, that's on the Fever team from IU, the guard.
Grace Berger.
Grace Berger. I hated to see Grace got to come in a game last week with a chance to win the game at the buzzer and just missed that elbow jumper from the free throw line. That would have probably made her more endeared to.
No, she's had to accept a new role. I mean, last year she played a pretty significant role on their team, but Caitlin comes in and changes everything. So now you're on the bench and you're getting very limited minutes.
Indiana basketball lands one, loses one so far this week, and Trent Sisley committed earlier in the week, and then yesterday, Jalen Harrelson, he's going to play for Micah Shrewsbury at Notre Dame, which is Notre Dame's biggest recruit ever.
Yes.
So great job for Micah Shrewsbury, and I knew he's been out on the recruiting trail. He was down to see Trent Sisley. He's a great recruiter, but he's going to do a good job at Notre Dame. And
there's no doubt. There's no doubt. I've known Micah since his Butler days, and he is sharp as a tack. He works his butt off. It's just, I'll be honest with you, Jimmy. Have you seen Sisley play?
Oh yeah,
you have. Yeah. See, I haven't, because I don't do the recruiting, the high school thing very much, but I hear he can shoot it. He can play multiple positions.
That's it.
I hear only good things about him. Now, whether he'll be ready as a freshman, I don't know. What's that?
He's a Swiss Army knife.
Right. The big thing is they need somebody who can shoot.
Well, he and his shooting, he has worked on. Not that he wasn't a good shooter. He continued to work on that. He worked on with Todd Leary on this shooting.
Oh, okay.
He was, and you could see he was this summer. But more than that, he's also a good defender. Mikael Brown Jr., who Indiana is chasing, one of the top recruits in the country, got shut down by Trent Sisley in an AAU game this summer. So he is he is a true all-around player, and he's going to be on the roster for 3 to 4 years.
Right.
I mean, that's a gold mine recruit. That's better than landing Jalen Harrelson. Jalen Harrelson might be a better individual player at this moment, but Trent Sisley is a much more valuable piece to the Indiana basketball recruiting scene, in my opinion.
Yeah. And you still need guys like that. I mean, look at, I know we hate to mention Purdue on this show, but Purdue's got, it's like the whole Matt Painter says, get old and stay old. They're going to have some guys who are going to be here 3 or 4 years. And those are your foundational pieces. That's a Trey Galloway type of guy. I'm not saying whether he's better or worse, but
you've got to have a guy like Trent Sisley. I agree with you, and that is productive. That is actively productive, but it's also a mix, and that's where Purdue is not hit or doesn't hit the mark. And Zach Edey is an anomaly. I'm sorry. I think that he was just an anomaly. He was, a freak of nature. Well, we'll get to see how they do it without him in that regard. But you do have to have players like Painter, Matt keeps around.
Right.
Mixed in with these elite players.
Right.
To be an elite team, you have to have elite players, not players.
I agree.
And that's why, last year Purdue had a player that would be considered elite. So,
yeah, no, but you still need those guys who can impart the culture to these young superstars who come in for a year or two. You need the guys who can sell what the coach is preaching. And I think guys like Sicily can do that.
And speaking of culture, how about the culture that's being instilled in Bloomington by Kurt Signetti?
Wow.
It just continues to get deeper and deeper. Indiana are putting up numbers that are mind-boggling, and we'll see if that can continue. They face their first home Big Ten opponent this week in Maryland, but they are doing what they expect to do. They're not surprised by this success. The coaching staff, this is coming from Kurt, they're not surprised by this. This is what we're used to. This is what we do. This is how
we'll Google them.
I guarantee exactly. If you don't believe me, Google him. And if you can do it, it ain't bragging.
Yeah. Now they've been tremendous. I mean, no question. They go to UCLA and absolutely blasted UCLA, who fought
LSU. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they gave LSU all they could handle. So no, I think we'll learn a lot more now coming up. I mean, Maryland and at Northwestern, and then that Nebraska game is going to be huge.
Yeah, even though they lost to Illinois, that all that did was take the luster off of what it would have. Man, if they could have gotten past Illinois, they were the higher ranked team. By the time that game comes around, they would have probably been ranked about 12th or so, undefeated. And if you can beat a top 12 undefeated team, well, that perception will just vault your worth in the eyes of these people. When they lost, it takes luster off of that.
Right. How many more victories do you think they need before they get ranked?
This weekend.
You think this weekend would do it?
Yeah. I mean, people will finally have to get off of the Indiana football thing and just recognize what is going on. They're averaging 50 points a game. I just gave a stat before you joined us. Here's, if you want to, it's an eye opener. In 2021, in 12 games, they scored 207 points.
Mm-hmm.
Through 4 games in 2024, they've scored 202 points.
Wow. Well, they got a quarterback and they've got some talent, and you saw it coming. I did not necessarily see it coming, but I don't follow IU football quite as closely as you do. But I've been totally impressed by what I've seen. They're playing clean football. The quarterback isn't throwing it to the other team. And like I said, first column, after the opener, this is going to be their best quarterback since Penix, which isn't saying much.
He is. He's just so mature, poised. Like I said, doesn't make the mistakes. And that's been huge, because for a team that doesn't have the depth of some of these other teams, you have to take advantage of every advantage that you can.
Absolutely.
I know your latest piece is up on the Pacers, that it's time to go for the championship, to go for the jugular.
Absolutely. I think I don't think last year was a fluke. I mean, they had owned the Milwaukee Bucks all year. Yes, they got a big break. The Knicks were beat up, but you know what? They didn't have a lot of depth to start with, and I'm going to brag on myself, but I called that series from the very beginning. I said the Pacers would go to New York and win a Game 7. That's exactly what they did. They played virtually a perfect game in Game 7, shot over 60% from the field. I think, look, you're going to have a full year of Pascal Siakam. They're running it back with basically the same team, everybody except for Jalen Smith and some guys on the edge of the roster. And, you've got Halliburton coming back from the Olympic experience. I think they're going to win 50 to 55 games. They're going to be a top 4 seed in the East, along with Boston, New York, and Philly. And I think they can do this again. I really do. I mean, I think they've got the talent, if they can stay healthy and keep the bond strong that they had last year, I see no reason why they can't do it again.
Absolutely. Bob Kravitz from bobkravitz.com. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, my man.
When are you coming to the next, when are you coming to Bloomington next?
Probably for Nebraska.
All right, buddy. We'll see you in a few weeks.
All right. Sounds good.
Bob Kravitz from bobkravitz.com. Make sure you're following and be a subscriber. I am. Up next, Rob Cassidy, rivals.com national basketball recruiting analyst, joins us from the Hard Truth Studios. We're back with more right after this.
Segment is brought to you by the Ugly Grouper.
In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at cheryl@indyhomepros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl at indyhomepros.com. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer. The Ugly Grouper, located on beautiful Anna Marie Island, Florida, is the place to be, and not just because they have unforgettable meals, including locally sourced seafood. The Ugly Grouper has your favorite craft beers and cocktails, along with live music every day. The Ugly Grouper is family-friendly, able to host private parties, and has the biggest grouper you've ever seen. The Ugly Grouper is the place to be on Anna Marie Island, Florida. Tell them Indiana Sports Beat sent you. Go to theuglygrouper.com for more information.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details. This segment is brought to you by the Fresh Fork in Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Hard Truth Distilling Company Studios on this Thursday. Thank you so much for being with us. Joined now by Rob Cassidy, Rivals Basketball National Analyst. Robert, how are you doing, sir? How's it going?
It's going well. I am getting ready to head out to the airport, or else I'd be on video with you guys. But things are good. Things are busy. You know, kids are committing every 10 minutes. We just released rankings. It's one thing after another this time of year. How are you guys?
Doing fine. It's been busy here as well, as Indiana football is soaring and the basketball recruiting season has come upon us, as you said, with commitments abound this week as Indiana landed coveted in-state recruit Trent Sisley, then lost out to Notre Dame yesterday on Jalen Harrelson, which that seemed to be going Indiana's way right up until the end, and it started all day yesterday, as you started hearing that, hey, this seems to be going Notre Dame's way. Not a shock, because Micah Shrewsbury is a hell of a recruiter. He's a hell of a coach. He's a hell of a guy. And I don't know why Jalen Harrelson chose Notre Dame, but there are no reasons not to, other than they have not had big time potential as far as performance, winning, going far in the tournament, whatnot. But I don't know that Jalen Harrelson plans to be around that long.
Yeah, he probably, every single kid thinks they're one and done. He, in my opinion, is a borderline case where I could see it going either way. I could see him hanging around a couple years in college, but he does have the skill set. If everything comes together, he becomes a little bit better shooter to be a one and done kid. I see him as one of those fringe one and done types, but definitely a great player. Definitely a guy Indiana would have loved to have, but it did not work out that way. It was one of the, these recruitments, I always know, I'd say 90% of the time I know a couple days in advance where a kid's going to announce to. I did not know until about 4 hours before this one. And it's because the kid didn't tell the coaches. I always tell the kids when I ask, how'd you know where I went? It's like, well, college coaches are bigger gossips than anybody you could ever imagine. So if you don't want it out, don't tell the coaches. And Harrelson did just that, and it worked for him.
Yeah, and it's unusual to see that happen, but again, congratulations, and a huge get for Micah Shrewsbury, because it's the biggest recruit ever for him, but the biggest recruit ever in the history of Notre Dame basketball.
Yeah, a huge one. I think something should be said for his ability to do this. Coming, it's not like he has a bunch of success there to point to. He's still kind of selling a dream. So. To be able to land the guy, to be able to land Harrelson, and it looks like they're probably going to get Ryder Frost as well, another forward this week. It's been interesting to kind of see the level at which Notre Dame is able to recruit now that Shrewsbury's in place. And I don't know anything about their name, image, and likeness program, but I imagine it has to be competitive. I might not have told you that 3 years ago.
Well, I asked him about that. I saw him someplace, and he said, "Hey, it's coming along." So. Whatever that means, it's coming along well enough. He also, under the radar, he also has a great point guard that he's going to have on his roster from Indiana named Mark Zachary, who is on the football roster as a cornerback.
You don't see too many of those kids in the world anymore. The two sport players are kind of becoming a dying breed. It'll be interesting to kind of see how he functions there. It's been a while since I've laid eyes on him, so we'll see how that goes.
There are several guys out there still that Indiana has looking to land in Bloomington as well. Of course, the next chip to fall will be Braylon Mullins, as he had a visit scheduled for Kentucky in October, but with his top three being whittled down to UConn, North Carolina, and Indiana, I believe that is off. So that decision will likely be coming as well.
Yeah, and I expect – so I don't know how this plays into Mullins, but I expect UConn to get a commitment from five-star wing Darius Adams tomorrow. He's announcing tomorrow. I expect that it'll be UConn. I don't know if that affects them with Mullins. It might. And if it does, it's probably good news for Indiana, as they're jockeying with North Carolina. I think the last time I was on the show with you, we said that they probably needed to get one of two of the three when it came to Sicily, who I thought they were going to get from the beginning, Mullins, Harrelson. It's way too early. I have not heard anything definite on this, but I like Indiana's chances as well as anybody's going into this thing, especially with UConn poised to get Darius Adams tomorrow.
Yeah, I do too. I've long thought that I felt better about Braylon Mullins going to Indiana than I did about Trent Sicily. I like you were on Jalen Harrelson, as close as I have been to that the Sicily situation this year, I did not want to venture a guess, because all things kind of pointed in one direction, but I knew how hard that Matt Painter had recruited Trent Sicily, and I'm like, man, I can't call that one. But it ended up the way it ended up, and now if they can land Braylon Mullins, then they do get the two out of those three. And there's Eric Ribe, who was just on a visit here. Is that how you say his name, by the way?
It's Ryby, Eric Ryby.
And that's how I had been saying it. So good for me.
Yeah.
I'll go back to that.
He had to correct me himself. He is if you ever get the chance to meet him, he is a funny kid. He's got this dry German sense of humor where he will roast you and not even crack a smile, and you're like, oh, okay. But so he corrected me on that, so I know it's right.
Perfect. Now I know. But he was also on a visit here recently with Trent Sisley and Braylon Mullins. And I know that Sisley and Mullins wanted to see Malachi Moreno come and, well, not come here to Indiana necessarily, but they would have loved to have played together. That's not going to happen. But Sisley and Moreno will be playing against each other as Kentucky comes back onto the Indiana schedule next year. Mullins possibly joining Indiana, and that would give them two of that. And then Eric Ryby to take Malachi Moreno's spot as the 7-footer.
Yeah, he's an interesting case here because for a while there, right after he came off his Kansas visit, Kansas was really confident about they were going to land him. They're still in the mix. I think there's still some confidence admitting from Lawrence there. I haven't checked in on it in a while, but I think if Indiana is going to get him, it's going to be Kansas is going to be the major competitor there. I know there are some other big-time schools in the mix, but the last thing I heard was that Kansas was sort of the team to beat, but then it went quiet. So I don't really know what's happening there as far as what he's thinking or where things stand with the Jayhawks.
And again, there are several other guys out there that Indiana has expressed interest in. Mikael Brown Jr., one of those who he played against some of these guys on the AAU circuit this summer. Team Indiana, I know, had a lot of run-ins with him. Trent Sisley did a great job shutting him down in one game. But he is someone Indiana and Mike Woodson would like to see in Bloomington as well.
Yeah, they've been, he's been high on Indiana even before he visited. I talked to his dad, 6 months ago. And at the time, he didn't think he was going to get to visit Indiana because the plan originally was to reclassify to 2024. Now, that obviously did not happen. And I think that kind of opened the door for Indiana to get back into it, get him on campus. And now I think they're right in the thick of it with Alabama and Texas and some other schools. I think his hometown UCF thinks they have a chance. But now that he is at 2025, that opens the door a little bit more from Indiana because when his dad thought he was going to be a 24, I don't think that he would have had time to get to Bloomington.
And he's a top 10 player in the 2025 class. Oh, that would make sense instead of the 2024, rather. Yeah, I've got it.
Yeah, he was going to reclass. The thing about him is he grew 4 inches in the last year. Like he was 6 foot last year. And now he's like 6'3.5", 6'4". And I was thinking about dropping him at the time just because he's a great player. But man, if you're 6 foot, it's tough to be ranked, as a 5-star and in the top 15. But he shoots up, gets measured at USA Basketball, and it's kind of been a good thing for him.
Yeah, now a top 10 rivals top 10 5-star point guard, which would fit right in to Woody's system, probably right about the right time as he's going through the cycle of having Kanan Carlisle and Miles Rice currently as probably the head of the offense at the moment, but that would bring in at the perfect time. And this is some top-notch talent if Indiana could land these guys, because Mike Woodson is also going to be hitting the portal because we don't know what holes are going to need to be filled.
Yeah, 100%. And it's really going to come down to, as far as portal recruiting and as far as hanging on to these guys and winning some of these recruitments, it's really important how Indiana starts the season, I think everybody's looking at them to take the next step. I think there's some semblance of the fan base that's starting to lose a little confidence, and I think they lose more if it goes south. But if it goes north with this new backcourt, with, as you mentioned, Rice and Carlisle, I think everybody starts to buy in. I think that if all things are equal, people want to play for Mike Woodson. As long as they think he's there and he's going to be successful, it's clear to me that he's got a knack for recruiting. Kids like him. They have the budget to get kids there. Now it's going to be about showing progress. I think they've got to get to the NCAA tournament. They've got to maybe advance out of the first weekend, and then
there's no maybes to it.
They got to get out of the first weekend, huh?
Yes, I think that they absolutely have to get to weekend 2, almost to the Elite 8. I mean, this Indiana team is going to be one that I think that the media will vote them as the favorite to win the championship, as they should. I think that they're on paper, they're the most talented team in the league. That's on paper. You got to play, but that's why you play the game. So I think it starts though.
I agree. It's just so hard to find a experienced, proven backcourt, ready-made backcourt that they found in the portal, that it's hard to imagine it going too far south just because those kids are proven at the highest level of basketball already. But, that's like you said, that's why they play the games.
Exactly, and which is fine. Dusty May will be in his first season at Michigan, and he's going to – Indiana is one of those – is a state that produces basketball talent like Texas and Pennsylvania and Ohio produces football talent. And it's a smaller state, but the proportion is crazy. But that's why you see you've got all three of the Indiana in-state coaches now, Micah Shrewsbury, Matt Painter, and Mike Woodson hitting it. But you still see the Dukes in North Carolina's, Michigan State, and now Dusty May at Michigan with such a connection to Indiana, former assistant at the school. He grew up in Greene County right down the road. So he's going to be a major player in the recruiting of Indiana as well.
Yeah, I think so going forward. They didn't really have – maybe you just didn't have enough time to get in on some of the kids in this class. That either have ties to Indiana or in Indiana, like Sicily or like the Mullins. But I think people are waiting to kind of see the proof in the pudding there too. It's one thing to win big at FAU. It's another thing to win big in the Big Ten. And I think if you're Michigan, you're coming off of, I don't even know how to describe the Juwan Howard era. Up and down, I guess, would be the best way to describe it. Maybe some of these recruits want to see a little bit of stability before Michigan is a huge player to the level of a Purdue or an Indiana or a Notre Dame or some of the other schools, Michigan States that tend to circle the Indiana recruiting territory.
So how do you see what Indiana has done in the recruiting? Last year, they had Liam McNeely, and he decommitted. I'm guessing because he was fearful that there was an empty cupboard at the time, and then Mike Woodson goes out and crew goes out and just restocks with bigger, better players overall. And then now they're finally getting into the in-state recruiting of these kids. How do you think that recruiting is going from an optics standpoint for the Hoosiers?
I think it's about where you can expect it to be in the way the last couple of years have gone. I think that closing the cycle like they did last year by losing McNeely, missing out on Flandon Queen, really probably would have crippled you in years past because, then your second options are already too far down the road and your backup plan is down the road to somebody else. Into the transfer portal, that allows you to kind of make some mistakes in the high school recruiting landscape or lose some guys late in the cycle like they did. And, Woody was able to recover quickly and it could be better off for it in the long run, just because of the experience some of the guys he landed do bring to the table. I think 5 years ago, that might have been the death blow. But it is not 5 years ago. It's 2024. And, if they bounce back here, then all of a sudden the Woodson era starts looking pretty darn good if they make it out of the first weekend this weekend, where you zoom out and kind of look at it as a whole. And I think that inspires, especially in-state recruits who, obviously grow up rooting for Indiana and want to play there if things are equal, the confidence to maybe do that.
Well, Trent Sisley was definitely one of those. They had a picture of him as a kid wearing an Indiana jersey. And then next to one of the pictures of him wearing the Indiana jersey, during his visit and all that, which was kind of cool to see, to be honest with you. Indiana, the Big Ten overall, it's too early. Again, I don't know who's who in the Big Ten right now. You never count Michigan State out. Illinois, probably Brad Underwood always does a good job. Dusty May, what's he going to do? Purdue, a big question mark. I think that there's going to be a top 4 team, but without Zach Edey, I think that they're going to be exposed as being a very solid basketball team, but they don't have the guy that was the back-to-back 2-time player of the year and that they just could lob it into for 30 points a game. That's going to make a hell of a difference.
Yeah, losing the back-to-back National Player of the Year will definitely make a difference. I have learned already in this transfer portal era not to even try to figure out who is going to be good and who is going to be bad until I see how the pieces fit together. Because there have been teams that have looked terrible on paper that have gone on deep runs in the last 5 years. And then the opposite too, teams you head into the season that you think look great, but the pieces don't fit together for some reason. Look at some of the Kentucky teams that Calipari's recently had. It's, it's going to be fun to watch. Now, obviously, losing a two-time player of the year is a little different. I mean, there's not going to be, you don't just replace, a 7'5" monster that, dominates everything. That's not going to happen. I'll have to find it other ways, but what they're going to look like, who knows? I mean, you wouldn't think they would be the same caliber of team that they've been in recent years, but I have just looked so stupid trying to guess what teams are going to look like since the portal began that I've just given up altogether.
That's why I have to wait until the season.
Yeah.
Even with football right now, it took, you've got to get through the non-conference portion of the season. You get an idea, but you've got to get into conference play to truly gauge some of these teams. Indiana in football off to a historic start, by the way, and that's got to be good for basketball recruiting too, though. When you bring recruits in and you've got a full stadium, that's excitement is all in there, and the football team is winning period is contagious.
Yeah, it's contagious, and it compounds in college sports, whether that's football or basketball. It compounds quickly because everybody wants money, yes, but everybody also wants to be part of a winner. And if you start winning, it can compound quickly. It can also fall apart quickly. I mentioned Juwan Howard of Michigan earlier. That happened for him. They won great in their first year. I think they made a run into the Elite Eight or the Final Four. I can't remember. He gets the number one recruiting class in the country. It doesn't work out. They kind of squander it. And that program took a nosedive from that moment forward. So you have to capitalize on it.
If Indiana was able to, absolutely, land, say, Braylon Mullins and Eric Ribey, that's got to put them in a top 5 recruiting class, I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's hard to know how things will shake out, but I don't think that you're going to have the Duke mega class or Kentucky mega class that you've had in the past. That's kind of a staple up there. Miami, if they land Cameron Boozer, has a chance to be a top 5 class. If what you said happens in Indiana, I think that definitely gives them a chance to have a top 5 class. There's just not, in recent years, you could look over and say, okay, Duke's got a 5-member class and 4 of them are 5 stars. I don't think that's happening. I don't think that's happening at Kentucky or even Arkansas this year. So, that top 5 is a little bit more open than it has been.
Yeah, and Kentucky, I thought that they would take a little drop off with in the recruiting, but they actually seem to have gotten better with, as funny as that sounds, with Calipari leaving. Calipari landed a lot of high-ranked players, but I don't know how many great players that you need to win that he truly landed, because that was seemed to be a different process there than it is now. Mark Pope getting a lot of positive results at the moment.
Yeah, it really helped him. I think, obviously a testament to his recruiting and, the money they have at Kentucky in the war chest, but also him taking over on this cycle where 2 of the top targets happen to be there in Lexington and grew up watching Kentucky. It's just right place, right time to some extent, I think. Jasper Johnson is just in your backyard, and Malachi Moreno is just 20 minutes down the road. It was good timing, and, you can only recruit the guys that are in your backyard, and you have to do it. They did it. You can't ask for anything else, I guess, in year one.
What else do you see popping in the Big Ten? Any teams that you see that may be a surprise or anything coming up that you see happening?
I'm kind of waiting for Michigan State to get that, to get on the board. They were a little disappointed, I think, that they missed out on Harrelson too. It's kind of been interesting to watch their recruiting process play out. I think there's some guys, and they'll obviously be okay. They're in on a couple other guys too, but for right now, they're kind of sputtering on the recruiting trail anyway to get a start.
So with Indiana, what are your expectations on this season?
You look at the roster, and in my head, it makes sense that they should compete for a Big Ten title. Now, I have been so bad at this since the portal started that I may have just jinxed them, and they'll be awful. But I think the expectation is if they don't win a Big 12 title, they'll at least be competing for it down the stretch to finish in that top 2 or 3, and then make a showing in the NCAA tournament. I think they have the backcourt to do it. If experienced guards win in March, they've got that. They've got some length, and they've got some possible NBA talent. So they have they check the boxes. Now, will that equate to a great season? I have no idea. But on paper, it seems like it should, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Not should, almost must. They must be competing for the title. They should win the title, but
I agree.
They have to compete for the title. If they're not, there is a serious problem with the talent that was brought in, because every avenue was covered that they needed. You got some shooting with Luke Goody, who not only is a good shooter, he is a smart basketball player. Talking to him before the season, listening to him, he talks about bringing a winning culture in from Illinois, where they did win. They won a Big Ten title. They went to the Elite Eight in the NCAA tournament. He knows about winning. He knows about competing against Purdue. So that is going to be important, having that senior leadership along for the ride as well. But they've got all the pieces. They have to compete. I think that they should win it. That's just my personal opinion, though.
Yeah, they should. It's a tough league, though, and it's going to be a tough league every year. So I don't think anybody will kill Woody and his staff if they finish second. They should definitely be competing. And on paper, you're right. They should have a very, very good chance to win it. But paper has lied to me on a number of occasions in the last 4 years since the portal is that everybody remakes the roster every year. But I guess you just don't know how things are going to fit together until it fits together.
Rob Cassidy, I can't thank you enough, brother. I know you got to get going, and we appreciate you stopping by. We'll catch you again.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime, guys.
Appreciate you. Rob Cassidy, Rivals.com, national recruiting analyst for basketball, joining us to talk about all the things that were going on this week and are coming up from the Hard Truth Studios. We've got more, and we'll be back with it here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Hard Truth Distilling Company Studios.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
Enjoy healthy, delicious meals at home without the hassle with the Fresh Fork. Chef-curated, ready-made meals delivered right to your doorstep. Proudly fueling IU athletes and now available to you with a menu that's always fresh and diverse, from hearty proteins to fresh salads. The Fresh Fork empowers you to make better food choices without compromising. Let the Fresh Fork help transform your lifestyle for a healthier way of living today at thefreshforkonline.com. Use promo code RADIO20 and get $20 off of your first order.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouth-watering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at cheryl@indyhomepros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@indyhomepros.com.
In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door.
Segment is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday. Hope all is well with you guys. Man, loaded so far. Rob just finished up with Rob Cassidy, the national analyst for basketball for Rivals.com, and Bob Kravitz earlier. Before that, Coach Shannon. What shoe falls next for Indiana basketball? We'll see this weekend on the football beat. Man, I'm ready for these games to start happening. I'm talking about the Big Ten games as they do full-heartedly this weekend. Let's see if I can get. I was trying to get the Big Ten schedule. There we go, where I could find it. Nope, that's not the right one. But anyway, some big games this weekend. Of course, Indiana hosting Maryland. That's a nooner. Got a noon game going on. Rutgers and Washington. That's an interesting game because Rutgers has had a good start. Washington has had an okay start. They got pounded by Washington State. And I'm not sure Rutgers may be better than Washington. I think that they are. Yesterday, and I'm going to have to redo it today. Gee whiz. I went through and rewrote this week's Big Ten Power Index, and it didn't save. Oh, my goodness. So that was a lot of work down the drain, but I've got to go back and do that. But nothing has changed at the top. But I'll tell you, I can probably guess at, of course, Ohio State at the top, because there's nothing that's going to change until they give a reason for that to change. But let's see, there it is. Follow behind them is the number 2 in the Big Ten is the hardest thing to pick right now. Yeah, I get it. Oregon is the natural thought, but I'm still not sold on Oregon. They haven't done anything to earn it. You know who has? Illinois. And I don't have a choice but to put Penn State there. Last week I had an 18A and B in the conference for UCLA and Purdue. Now that's just Purdue at the bottom. UCLA is up to 16th though, and then 17th is Northwestern. Ironically, so I have the 3 worst teams in the Big Ten is UCLA, Northwestern, Purdue. Indiana plays all 3, luckily for them. They've got that going for them, which is nice. But I think that right now, Illinois and Penn State are tied for the second slot in the Big Ten. Guess what? They play each other this week. However, it is in Happy Valley. So that is going to be an advantage to Penn State. But I think that they probably get that win, and then that will leave them as in second for me all alone in the Big Ten at the moment. Then so it's Illinois and Penn State. They haven't played, so I'm just going to leave that one alone. Then Oregon. I have to put Oregon up there, even though they haven't proven it to me. That's the top 4. Of course, USC dropped. Michigan on the rise back up now, but I have Indiana at number 5. And I think they deserve being there because I've seen what they've done, and until something happens to change my mind, I've got them at the number 5 slot, which is good because that leaves them in consideration and contention for end of season chatter. As crazy as it may sound, Penn State definitely, Oregon absolutely. I expect to go 11-1 with the schedule they have. It's not a given, but they have a path to 11-1, and they play Ohio State at home. So what happens if they were to beat Ohio State? That would really muck things up because they're going to have Ohio State in the college football playoffs come hell or high water. A 2-loss Ohio State in the regular season would probably get into the college football playoffs, where as a 4th Big Ten team, no less, because I think you're going to have multiple 11-1 teams in the Big Ten this year. The schedules are laid out for Penn State. Could be one of those. Michigan could be one of those. I doubt it. I seriously doubt it, but they've given themselves a chance. Illinois has a chance. But those are the teams. I think it's already I hate to count Rutgers out of that. I shouldn't. It's not fair. It's not right. Maybe they change my mind next week. We'll find out. But Rutgers is just on the outside knocking in, but they could walk through the door next week depending on what happens for the Scarlet Knights, as Greg Schiano's squad is playing good ball. They win this week. They're 4-0, people. 2 games away from a bowl eligibility, Rutgers. So there's that. Let's see. Heath asking, what about the talk about the quarterback that was going to flip? I didn't know that he was going to flip this week, but Colorado is working on flipping him. He was at the Colorado Baylor game, in which Colorado ended up winning in unbelievable, spectacular fashion, with a last-second pass into the end zone to tie the game, and then they go on and win it in overtime. That was a gut-wrenching loss for Baylor. Man, you talk about that's a harder loss than what USC. USC had Michigan beat in the Big House, and they give up one big run. Games can change in a second. And that game changed on that run. Man, that cost USC the game. And it was in the waning moments of the game. But you have to play all 60 minutes. That's why you hear coaches say it's a 60-minute game. It is. Things can happen in a split second. They may not be likely at certain times, but it is still always a possibility. And guess what? It always happens sometime, somewhere. We always see it each season. Which Russell says, I still think Notre Dame is the pride of Indiana in college football. I don't even know what that really means. Notre Dame's more of a national brand. Yeah, they're located in Indiana, but when people think of Notre Dame, they think of South Bend. I don't necessarily think they think of Indiana. It's plus, not only is it in South Bend, which is on the northern border, it's not I'm not making an argument either way. I'm just saying, yeah, I don't know that I think of Indiana when I hear Notre Dame. I think of Notre Dame. But so there's that. Brian says he thinks of the touchdown Jesus. Yeah, well, it will always aggravate me. If you're familiar with the Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City where the Chiefs play, it's circular, and then there's a cutout on one end. A few years back, Notre Dame added to their stadium. That's probably been over 10 years now, maybe 15, to add more seats. They added another section above, straight up, but added another section. And instead of being smart enough to have a cutout so you could still see the touchdown Jesus from the stadium, they covered it up. I think it was just the dumbest move in the history of engineering. I mean, that was the first thing I thought of, and I don't know how they didn't, but that's how it went. But that's a great place to go. You want to talk about an iconic place to go? Go see a football game at Notre Dame Stadium in South Bend. They treat it like a museum, which in essence it is. And I mean, they have got people spread out all over campus welcoming you. Thank you for coming to Notre Dame. Welcome to Notre Dame. Thank you. Can I help you with something? Because before the games, they have all these facilities that are open. The Joyce Convocation Center, Athletic and Convocation Center. You have the grotto, the cathedral. You can go inside where the Golden Dome is. There's just all kinds of traditions that they have. And it is worth taking in as a sports fan, as a college football fan. It is just, it's cool. There are just some, like going to the Rose Bowl a few weeks ago. I guarantee you will not find a fan who says, hey, it was all right. Because it wasn't. It was freaking spectacular. It's in SoCal, baby. At the foot of the San Gabriel Mountains. Awesome destination. Just things to do. Not many people will be going to the Northwestern game this year, however, because it only holds 12,000 people on the pitch playing soccer. We've got more coming up. We're going to talk about this week's Big Ten football schedule from the Hard Truth Studios. We'll be back with more, brought to you by Hoosier Hanks, located off of College Mall Road, where tonight you will find Inside Indiana Football with Kurt Signetti, hosted by the man Don Fisher. We'll be there. And back with more right after this. In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouth-watering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza,
burgers, beer.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf Community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details.
Enjoy healthy, delicious meals at home without the hassle with the Fresh Fork. Chef-curated, ready-made meals delivered right to your doorstep. Proudly fueling IU athletes and now available to you with a menu that's always fresh and diverse, from hearty proteins to fresh salads. The Fresh Fork empowers you to make better food choices without compromising. Let the Fresh Fork help transform your lifestyle for a healthier way of living today at thefreshforkonline.com. Use promo code RADIO20 and get $20 off your first order. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by Hard Truth Distilling Company and Andy Moore Honda Bloomington. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you from the Hard Truth Studios on this Hard Truth Thursday. Appreciate you being with us. Man, here's the new shoe to fall in college football, and I'm sure it will affect basketball soon enough. But a few years ago, we saw players, quote unquote, opting out of bowl games for whatever reason. It disgusts me no matter what. Quitting on their team. But earlier this week, we saw UNLV's quarterback decide, I'm not going to play the rest of the season. Starting quarterback. I need to preface that. Their starting quarterback, I'm not going to play the rest of the season. I'm shutting it down. I'm maintaining my eligibility. First of all, unless I don't know what year he is, but unless he is, up in years, if he's that good that he thinks do you expect to be in school for 4 years? Anyway, not the point. The point is that he's quitting on his team. I don't think that you should be able to use a red shirt year if you're changing teams, if that makes sense. If you're using it to maintain eligibility to go to another team, I think that the 4-game redshirt rule stays in place if you stay at the same location. But if you're doing it to maintain eligibility to take that to another school, no, that should not count. Now we've got USC's Bear Alexander, a defensive tackle, who has not been satisfied with his playing time. He is now taking a redshirt season in 2024. Tony Jones, who Alexander calls his father, confirmed to ESPN that Alexander doesn't plan to play for the rest of the season to preserve a year of eligibility. But Alexander plans to stay with the USC team and practice, Jones said. Really? How does that work? You quit on me, but you want me to train you. You want me to continue to give you all of these benefits that come with being on this team, but you're not going to play for us. I'll take that deal, because where's the line? See, this is what happens. They're taking these student athletes are now taking this to the extreme, and it's going the wrong way in a bad way. Rudy, the boxer, says the word is they owe him 100. That's the UNLV guy. Yeah, we can talk about that. But this situation with the
Alexander from USC is not that. It's simply over. He's not happy about playing time because that means he thinks he knows more than the coach knows. Whiny players. Again, if I'm a coach and this guy's in the portal, I know that he's going to get selected by somebody. But as a coach, I don't think I would want him. What happens when he's not performing to the expectations, not playing to the standard, and you sit his ass? He's going to do the same thing again. Or any player that does this is going to do the same thing. It's like the child. If they whine and cry when they don't get something and you give it to them, guess what they're going to do every time they don't get something? They're going to whine and cry. So there's that. That's my rant of hard truth today from the Hard Truth Studios. I just think it's ridiculous, but at least let's see. This should be the last week we see of that, because after this week, every team will have played 4 games, and that's the maximum. The sheer fact that I cannot get over Alexander plans to stay with the USC team and practice. Practice? Practice? We're talking practice? How? How does that work? If I'm on the team, I don't want him at my practice. But dude, you quit on us. So yeah, that one's a weird one. That's how it works. It's how it's working today. But it wouldn't matter if the NCAA did change the rule. Someone would sue them, and the NCAA would lose. That's how it goes. Cowboys are at the Giants tonight. That's on Prime, baby. Prime. Skylar, do we need another break? I can't remember if we're one short. The Cowboys are 6 point. No, they're giving up 6.
No, Jim, we're good. We're good. No more breaks.
Perfect. This weekend's Big Ten schedule, I'm looking forward to seeing. Yeah, I can't believe that Bear Alexander deal. But this week's schedule for Big Ten teams, there's another Friday game, of course, but it's an interesting game. Washington travels to Rutgers. Rutgers wins. They're 4-0, people. And they're a 2.5-point favorite. That's going to be a tight game. Minnesota, PJ Fleck's team, rowing the boat in the wrong way. Ever since game 1, they had a chance to beat North Carolina, and they choked that game away. And then North Carolina goes and at home gets obliterated by James Madison. That tells you Minnesota. So Michigan should just cruise in this game, and they are only a 9.5-point favorite. Now, they don't have a quarterback that can throw the ball, so that's odd. Indiana, of course, listed as a 7-point favorite on ESPN. Nebraska at Purdue. The Cornhuskers are a 10-point favorite. They win by more because they need to win by more. They need to pile up points in this game. USC will host Wisconsin. And Wisconsin, things are not going well for Luke Fickell. Not a good start. They've not looked good in his second season. And they're a 15.5-point underdog at the LA Coliseum. Kurt Cignetti is making every second-year coach or Northwestern's coach, Purdue's coach, Ryan Walters. Who else was I just talking about? Not Michigan State, though. They're looking good. Luke Fickell, they're not looking all that great. And then you're going to have Kurt Cignetti come in. And again, remember I told you this. Kurt Cignetti's going to come in, and in his first year, he's going to win Coach of the Year in the Big Ten because he's going to take a team that was 3-9, and at a minimum, I think they're going to be 9-3. They were 1-8 in the Big Ten last year. They're already 1-0. Saturday, I think that goes to 2-0. The following week, I think it goes to 3-0 and 6-0 overall, bowl eligible in their first 6 games, as I talked about the path to 6-0 all year long. I think that path is now at 8-0. And once Indiana breaks into that AP top 25, if they win this week, which I expect them to do, they were only about 5 points out of the top 25 last week. Boise probably doesn't really belong there. They're 2-1, but regardless of that, Indiana will be in the top 25 this week. That's after their 5th game of beating Maryland. Then they beat Northwestern. They'll move up a few spots, probably be around 20, maybe, the upper teens. But then you have Nebraska come in, and if you can beat them, you move up a little more, or you're 15, 14. If you beat Washington, hey, now, you need help in front, but now you're talking about moving into the top 12. And people may think that I'm crazy having been talking about this all year, but listen to what I'm saying. Listen how I'm laying this out. They beat Washington. They're 8-0. They're probably going to be in the top 12 at that point. Now, going to Michigan State is going to be a very key game. Michigan State has played okay up until now, enough to scare you. They beat Maryland in College Park. So, Russell asking if I can sing you a song before I sign off today. Good God almighty, why in the world would you want me to sing a song? Don't rock the boat. There you go. Don't rock the boat. Don't rock the boat, baby. There you go. So I've granted your wish. Robert says, yes, we can look at IU football as the blind squirrel. They finally found the nut in the pile. Well, yeah, it's kind of not wrong. They've got the coach. They got the piece, the center piece. There's a reason Alabama was successful for the years they were successful. They had a CEO. They had a CEO that knew what he was doing and built an empire. Now, they had great success prior, but that success had waned and come and gone. And Alabama, if you go back and look, was in this same position. They were not having success. They went through a couple of coaches. You've got to have the right guy at the top. It doesn't matter what assistant coaches you have. You can have success, but you can't have sustained success if you don't have the right guy at the top running the organization as an organization. And that's exactly what Kurt Cignetti does. And he probably learned that from Nick Saban when he was an assistant to him on their first national championship team. And that is to Indiana's benefit because that's exactly how the Hoosiers are being run now. Man, appreciate you, Fred. Appreciate everybody on the Andy Moore Honda hotline today. We're back tomorrow to do this again. Todd Leary, of course, joins us. Zach Osterman, and we will have more as we'll set up the weekend's Big Ten football slate and more, top 25, to see who else plays. Looking forward to it. And great fun today. Big thanks to Coach Shannon Griffith, Bob Kravitz, and Rob Cassidy for joining us on the program. Most importantly, thanks to each and every one of you. We greatly appreciate you. Until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.